What's up? What's up? What's up, Pete?
Hey.
Hey,
How you
hey.
feel? Welcome to
Tired.
my enemies
Yeah.
live.
Yes. Welcome.
Right. I am tired as well. However, we are here. We are talking to the people. We are loving it. And yeah, how you feel? I know I just asked the same question twice.
I
Again,
was like,
I didn't feel like I got to give him an answer.
I answered the question. I'm tired. I'm tired. I was waiting for Derek. I'm like, Derek? How you feeling?
I know, right?
Yeah, no. My apologies for the lag. Maybe it's because I'm so tired. Look, my eyes look low like I've been drinking, but no, I'm just tired too. But I pray that the Lord quickens our spirits and keeps us moving and keeps blessing us because
Amen.
we were just talking about it. Yeah, just it's amazing to see our project on the internet like this, and online and on YouTube and on Facebook and on social media because we're really pushing good content. So I really want to say thank you to you both and thank you to the viewers as well.
Hey, man. For sure. For sure. Listen, I want to talk about this Stuntin a friend thing, man. On the episode, we talked about, I guess the conversation was more so centered around investing, right? And not falling victim to some of the different, people who are out there giving these false narratives about how successful they've been in all of these investments and whatnot and teaching you how to do it. But I don't know, man. I kind of want to talk about if you didn't notice, I think Apple and some other company did a stock split, and there's a bunch of people online talking about make sure you buy some Apple stock and all of this other stuff. Okay, how y'all feel about that? I don't want to go off just yet, but how y'all feel about it?
I feel like I want to know how you feel about it. I feel like I would like to preface this conversation by saying we are not trained professionals in this area, and we are not giving you stock tips. So I think that's at least important to put out there. But I know I'll just say like for my friend group, it's definitely something that's been in our chat, something that we're talking about here with my girls and dads and moms and in my crew. And, we've been talking about different stocks that are going to be splitting, that are splitting, and what that means. Should we be thinking about buying? Should we, where are we at in that? I don't know if I'm interested to hear kind of your perspective from someone who's a money guy. For me, I'm just trying to get in where I fit in. I'm like, do I need to buy now? Do I need to buy after it splits? So I guess I'm more on the consumer end of it. But I think that definitely makes for a rich conversation. So I'm interested in what you got to say for sure. For sure.
Oh, okay. What about you, Derek? How you feel about
Kelvin,
this?
kick it off.
Was it
Kick
Apple
it
and who
off.
else?
He kicked it off, and now he trying to like hear you say no. What? How you feeling? You feel some type of way.
All right. So I appreciate, just like you, Bridget, I appreciate people trying to be better with their money, right? I appreciate people taking the initiative to look into other options,
Absolutely.
and try to invest in their future, right? Participate in the stock market. I get it. However, if you're gonna take $1,000 and dump it into the stock market, knowing that the next time your tire get flat or little Johnny gets his arm broke or whatever the case may be, if you run that risk of having to pull that money out at a loss, right? Then you don't need to be investing in Apple stock. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You want to participate, but you got to be smart about it, man. And I don't like when people just put out blanket statements like, "Hey, you're stupid if you're not investing in Apple stock right now." That bothers me because it's the wrong information to be given to somebody who doesn't have, who has no business, investing right now. And I think that's my biggest issue with it. Again, you have to be licensed, professional license. As someone who used to be a registered investment advisor, like I taken all kinds of tests. I took my Series 6, my Series 63, my Series 65, life and health. You know what I'm saying? Like all of it. I know that there's a lot of information that you need to know to be giving qualified financial advice to individuals. And being that I'm not in that world anymore, I know better than to tell people they need to be investing in something that they don't really know about. You know what I'm saying? So for people who learned or read a headline or two and are out there telling people, like, you need to kind of think about what you're doing, because you could be setting somebody up for failure. Where they're taking all their, the $500 they got saved up, even if it's $1,500 or $2,000. At the end of the day, you dump it into an individual stock, and you're not properly diversified, and you don't have emergency fund, right? That 6 to 12 months worth of emergency fund, and you're not using disposable income to invest, then you could potentially be setting yourself up for failure. Because if you have to pull that money, all it takes is one headline, bad timing, right? One headline. Speculation is a mother. One headline, one bad headline, and that stock price will tank. And if it's at the right time and you need that money for some reason and you need to pull it out, on top of the commissions that you're gonna have to pay, your $500 can easily be worth $350 at that point, right? Or less or worse, right? So I think people just have to be careful about, making people feel bad about not participating in the stock market. As we spoke about on the episode, if you haven't seen it, go to www.bandpodlive.com. It's right there on the bottom of the screen, people. I'm not going to spell it out. It's at the bottom of the screen. www.bandpod.live, and look at the episode. It's called Money Management, Stuntin to Frontin. As we spoke about on the episode, you just have to be very judicious. If you're not, like, the best way to increase your earnings, right? The best way to give yourself a pay raise is to pay off some debt. A lot of people like to say start with the biggest debt that you have and pay that down, or the biggest interest rate and pay that down. I'm the opposite. I like to see progress. If I'm working to better my financial situation, I'm starting with the smallest bill possible. And I'm going to pay that bad boy off, and I'm going to free up $5, $10, $15 a month. And then I'm going to move on to the next one, and I'm going to pay that off, dump all the money that I can into that next one, that smallest bill. I'm going to pay that off, right? So that by the time I'm a year out and I've paid off 3 or 4 different small bills, I feel accomplished. I'm motivated. Like, I'm paying this stuff off. This stuff is coming off my credit report. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pay that stuff off, and then I'm gonna, slowly work my way up to the big boy. Because once I get up to the big boy, which typically for people like us is student loans, right? But once you get up to the big boy, now you have a couple $100 extra that you can dump into, paying that debt off. And once you're done with that, that's usually what, $400 to $600 a month that you just freed up. You know what I'm saying? So focus on eliminating debt, and then, but in the same token, if you need to feel like you're doing something or accomplishing something, or, at least participating, you want that feel good factor about money, right? And you want to participate in the market, and you're already doing your 401k, or, you just kind of want to dabble on the side. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting $5, $10, $15. There's a lot of free tools out there that you can use to invest in the market in small dollar amounts, fractions of shares. But to try to go out and purchase 3 or 4 shares of Apple stock when you only got, $500 to $1,000 to put into the market, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're putting too many eggs in one basket, right? So for me, it's more so, look at your financial situation, focus on paying off that debt first, and then if you have that disposable income, then you can go ahead and dump it into some individual stocks. That's how I feel about it.
But see, and this is why I wanted you to go first, because that was a lot. Like, we need to hear all of that, right? We need to hear that from end to end. I think that frames it a little bit different. I think that when the question was first posed, I appreciate that. But I always the one who's kind of loving on people a little bit, who's kind of like, come here, bring it in, let me hug on you.
That's what I love.
Because I appreciate it. I'm like, come here, lay in my bosom, because I appreciate the fact. I appreciate that. Yes, check it out. I appreciate that right now.
Relax. Sorry, go ahead, Bridget.
It's fine. No, I'm just joking. So I appreciate that people right now, that Black people right now, are trying to be aggressive, and figure out ways to be aggressive in investing and doing things with their money. I think that for so long we have been very behind in knowledge, and I think people are trying to get knowledge, and so we're playing catch up. And what do you do when you play catch up? Sometimes you make missteps, you do things faster than you should, you don't do things maybe with as much information as you should, but you're still doing it. And sometimes it's like taking that risk, and not making the best decisions in some areas can also teach us well. I agree with Kelvin 1,000%. If it's something that you're going to lose and you're not going to be able to pay bills or take care of something, someone, or yourself, don't do it. If it's anything outside of that, where within your budget you have space to play with, then maybe, I say play loosely, but play a little bit, right? But then the other side of that, yes, the strategy, especially during this time, right, a lot of creditors are offering things where you can put payments onto the back of things, and all of that stuff. And so if you're taking advantage of any of the things that are happening with I don't know, I forget the name of it, but just with COVID and everything, the COVID relief things that a lot of institutions are doing, one of the best answers, right, is saving and doing and snowballing, to your point. However your strategy is, whether it be that smallest one or that biggest one, take that money and putting it somewhere else. So kudos, to those out there who are trying to make changes, who are trying to learn more about finances, who are trying to do more. But to Kelvin, we have to be doing it in a way that's smart, because we want to come out better after all of this, as opposed to having lost, right? The idea is increase in our community, is increase in our family, is freeing up our finances, is being able to posture ourselves, better economically. So we got the right thought and the right mindset. It's just making execution exactly where it needs to be right now.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, no, Kelvin, to how you framed this, I second Bridget's point in terms of you framed it well with your own question, by answering your own question. But that being said, we said a lot in the episode. I just watched the episode with my kids, and they had questions. And that's the thing that I like about the show too, because we're putting good content out there, and it allows us an avenue to share information, knowledge sharing, right? And this one happened to be about finances, and what do we want to do? Do we want to better so I think that's been beautiful. But
yeah, we might have to plug you in, man. If you got an Ethernet cable, plug into your wireless router.
Poor little Tink Tink.
It's happening again.
Yeah, not right now. Now it sounds fine.
Okay, so go ahead. Do what you do now. You're good now.
Okay. So 2 things. Kelvin, great plug. 2, I want to reiterate thanks to the guest that we had, John Ranger and Ed Williams.
It's not going down, brother. It's not going down. It's not going down, Teddy Riley.
Teddy Riley.
Nah, you good, bro. Yeah, but I mean, look, Bridget, I feel you. I do want to love on folk, and I appreciate folk, wanting to better themselves. I just need people to do it in a more in a better way. Well, not in a better way, just kind of be a little bit more thoughtful. Consider your source, I guess, is my main point, right? I don't want anybody. The whole reason why I got into banking and finance in the beginning of my career was to help people succeed financially, right? And the minute I felt like, people were being taken advantage of, or weren't putting themselves in the best position, or I was being forced to kind of sell things that weren't, right for individuals. It was, I had to get out of there. And I had to get out of there. And I went on this wild journey throughout my career, getting all this experience. And then, I've come full circle. Now I'm getting back into the banking industry, but as an entrepreneur, so it's important to me that, that people are taken care of and putting themselves in position financially. Now, if you have a few bucks and you want to put it behind something or somebody, and invest in something, I recommend putting that money towards, a family member or a friend who's trying to do something. You know what I mean? Versus one of these other companies where it's already super expensive to own a piece of it. If you can get behind somebody who, like, for example, Bridget, you're doing, your boat, decorating your boat situation and whatnot, like creating these fantastic memories for couples, I think that's pretty dope. So if you, for example, for some reason needed to raise capital to purchase your own boat, right? For example, and that would be something, knowing that we love and care about you, that we would be willing to put our finances behind, because it's not really about, at the end of the day, it's not about really investing to earn money, even though it is, but it's an investment. But at the end of the day, we're helping somebody that we love and care about pursue their dreams, right? And better their situation in life. So, it takes on a different kind of meaning to investing when you're actually, emotional behind your investment. But what you should never be emotional behind is, the investments in, the stock market and whatnot, because those companies are by no means emotionally tied to you. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to make money regardless. So I don't know. For me, that's where, if I had, when I do have disposable income, I'm looking for friends and family that I could toss a few dollars to help them better their situation. Even if it's not an investment in a company, it's at least putting a few dollars in your pocket, and sowing that good seed, in you, so that if I ever need, a little bit of help, then maybe you'd be willing to, return the favor. And if not you, then the universe will do it for me, but that's what I would do with my extra dollars, and not necessarily put it into Apple or something like that, knowing that I may need that money, in a short period of time. So I just kind of wanted to get that out the way. That's it. I just wanted to get that out of the way. We can go on and talk about what we normally talk about, the episode.
No, I mean, I think that nests nicely within the episode. I don't think that deviates from where we were at and what we were talking about at all. I think as you were talking, I was thinking about, the fact that I am, starting kind of have birthed the business out of the pandemic. And I think that's another thing that's happening too, is that people are, birthing new streams of income out of the pandemic, potentially out of necessity, or out of just having maybe more time to tap into their talents and whatever. And so we're seeing, a lot of entrepreneurial things kind of spring up during this time as well. I love that you talked about investing in somebody that you care about. I've actually had a few people reach out and say, I would love to invest. Interestingly enough, one of the things I struggle with in that moment when that's happening, I'm like, you would, because I do want to buy my own boat. But one of the things that happens when they say that, I'm like, you would. And then I'm like, well, what would you be getting for that? I'm thinking about, from somebody investing in me, what can I give back? And I'm actually thinking through that a little bit, but it's just interesting that you said that, because that's something I've been approached at least 4 or 5 times this summer by people who will be willing to literally invest in me. I think because it's tangible and they can see it, and they can see their dollars going to work of something that they believe in, that they don't see a lot of Black people doing, specifically in Pittsburgh. So, shout out to you for even bringing that up, because I think that is amazing and something that we definitely need more of. Our guests that we had, I'm scrolling up just to make sure that I get their names right. We had 2 financial services, financial advisors on with us for the episode, which was Ed Williams and Jeff Granger. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming on and spending some time with us. And again, if you haven't listened to that episode, please go listen to the episode, because a lot of what they talked about is just having someone, a professional, with you along your kind of financial journey, to make sure and to support you in where you're putting your money and diversifying, how your money is out there and making it work for you. And I've had a financial advisor before, and I think I felt like they were trying to sell certain products. And this was years ago, though. I felt like they were trying to sell certain products. And so my particular experience was okay. I felt like after, it was almost like having a coach at the gym. Like after I got enough information and was worked out and knew, how to work the muscles, I felt like I didn't necessarily need them as much. However, what was great about it was the level of accountability, was the fact that there was always someone checking in on me to be able to do that work. But I think one of the things that I really enjoyed, I think between the two of them, they were very similar but very different. And the idea that, working with a financial advisor, you're coming into a relationship with someone who's going to be kind of helping you, through, working through your finances and things like that. So I thought it was a great discussion from that standpoint. I loved our guests and their points of view, which were, again, different, yet very much so the same, yet from different perspectives. And, we had different age ranges as well. Like one had been in the game for, I think, had been in the game for over 20 years, and so I love that we had the diverse perspectives in the particular episode.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you're a financial advisor and you're appointed with a certain broker dealer, a lot of times they don't have every product that exists in the universe to be able to sell to you. So it's not that they're trying to be a bad person 100% of the time. Sometimes they are, but other times, and they're only investing for the commission, right? That does exist. However, I believe that, most financial advisors want to do the right thing, but they're just using the tools that they have available to them. So they may not be able to refer the absolute best product, sell you the absolute best product because they're not appointed with that particular carrier, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, certain products do pay more commissions than others. That's the cold, hard truth, right? So we may lean more to, I don't do it anymore. But, you may have certain products that you try to get people into, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's what's best for them. For the right person, it could be the perfect product for you in your financial situation. And there's different options, right? We were talking about on the episode, Jeff mentioned that he used an insurance product to pay for, he overfunded an insurance product to pay for his daughter's college education. You know what I mean? And that's one way to do it. There's also a Coverdale savings. There's also a 529. You know what I mean? So there's different reasons for to get different products. I've known people to use insurance products, whole life insurance products, as retirement accounts, because technically you don't have to pay back those loans. You can overfund it and let it sit, and then just kind of borrow from it. It'll decrease the death benefit, but at the end of the day, you don't really have to pay that back. So people use it as I've seen people use it as retirement accounts, because a lot of times they have a ceiling on how much you can earn, but they also have a floor as in terms of how much you can lose at the same time. So it gives you a nice kind of sweet spot where you can earn, say, between 8 to 12% annually if you invest it a certain way, on your cash value. So, I mean, there's a lot of different vehicles out there. So I don't want to throw any financial advisors under the bus because they may not have an option. They may only have certain products to offer you. But I mean, that's the kind of trust. That's the importance of the relationship, right? So that's the importance of, knowing and trusting the person that you're doing business with, and building that relationship, because, they'll be able to help you navigate through the ups and downs in the market and the different scenarios in life. Go ahead, Bridget.
No, I was going to say for sure, I think that, that's good. And definitely the gentleman that we had on the show were, stellar, men of character. You could tell even by some of the stories that they were sharing about working for free, knowing that they weren't necessarily going to make anything off of a client, but they wanted to make sure that they were in the proper position. They knew up front that they weren't, but long term, it would work out. So I thought that those were great stories to hear from a financial advisor perspective. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, the viewers, but like some of this stuff for me is very, it creates anxiety. I get into a space where it's not like thinking about all the things and all the roles that I play on a day-to-day basis, whether it be mom or director of leadership development over here, or student, or whatever that role is in a day. Oh yeah, on top of that, right, I have to be thinking about and it's probably that it's an umbrella, like it all needs to be kind of under that. But sometimes it feels, I think, heavy and stressful, and, you get to the point where like, am I making the right decisions? Have I made the right decisions? And then when you don't, how do I, reset from the decisions, that I did make when I was, stunting and fronting, if I was stunting and fronting, how do I bounce back to be able to, make it all right? If that's something that you may have been doing, or I may have been doing it at one time or another. But the conversation, I think, for me, boiled down, we talk about this a lot in a lot of different areas around strategy and having a plan. And so, what are you planning for? What are the important things now? What are the important things midterm? What are the important things as it relates to long term? And how do you set yourself up, in all of that? I'll also say this, and we didn't really talk about this, and this may be a little soft, like fluffy for some folks, but I think there's also a money mindset, right? Like, if you have a mindset of lack, that is what can continue to perpetuate in, your world. If you have a mindset of abundance, right? Maybe you don't see it all right now, but the way you speak, the way you move, the conversations that you have, they begin to move in a space of abundance. And a quick example of that would be one of the things that I'm really in prayer for right now concerning any business conversations that I have is I'm good at having conversations. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at selling myself, and I'm good at people like me. That's not the hard part. The hard part sometimes for me in business is closing the deal. And so my prayer in this time frame is it's okay to say that I want to have money. I want to be wealthy. I want to have, I'm saying it at this point. The way I'm talking is in abundance, and so that changes my conversation. I'm on the phone today with or Zoom today with a potential client, and I said it just like I said. I said we're going to work together. I know we're going to work together. We just got to figure out what the right opportunity was. The way that I was speaking was more declarative, and it was just a different. And so I think we didn't necessarily touch on that, but I wanted to kind of bring that up just around like the way you speak about it, the way you move, the way you think about it definitely manifests in the way that you're the things that are actually being connected and being attracted to you.
That's so true. I don't think you understand how, well, I mean, obviously you understand, but just that's a colloquial, right? I don't think you understand. No, but no, seriously though, it's like, people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand the power of being so confident behind your statement that the universe like has no choice but to believe you. You know what I'm saying? People start believing you, and then you start believing yourself. Like, dang, yeah, I'm really gonna be a billionaire one day. Like, legit, it's about to happen. I can feel it. I see it. You know what I mean? Yeah, the attitude is everything, man. You can't go into something thinking that it's almost like you got to have a plan B without having a plan B. You know what I mean? Have a plan B, but you got to be fully committed to plan A and know that plan A is going to happen. I think that plan B is kind of good when you got a family to consider, but when you are fully like invested in your plan A and you're doing everything you possibly can to make your plan A a reality, that feeling, that confidence, that mojo that you have, that you get, it's just like contagious, and the people around you start to feel it as well. You know what I mean? And things just start falling in place, man. It's crazy how that works. Conversations get easier and easier. Opportunities just come. Next thing you know, people that you never thought you'd have the opportunity to speak to just wind up on an email chain. You know what I'm saying? And you wind up setting up meetings, and now the sky is literally the limit. So that's kind of where I find myself right now, in terms of speaking things into existence and being confident behind what you're doing and confident in your vision. But more importantly, I think the most important aspect of it for me is believing in the people around me as well. You know what I mean? And bigging up. Look, Lord, it takes 2 seconds and this much energy to speak life into the people that you love and care about. Like, come on, like for real. At the end of the day, you don't have to sit around and hate on everybody for no reason. for no reason. Speak life. If somebody's trying to better themselves financially, they're trying to better themselves going forward, in the future, whatever it is that they're trying to do, speak life into them. If you care about them even a little bit, speak life into them. You never know what it can do to a person's day, right? And then you never know what kind of good mojo and energy that's gonna come back to you as a result of that, right? So I don't know, man. I'm big on that. I'm big on speaking life into people that I love and care about, man. What you think, Derek? Let's get us a shot, man.
Can you hear me now? Oh, okay.
Nah. That's okay, man. I tell you what, let's do this. Go ahead and type it in, and Bridget and I will tag team and read your stuff for you.
It was so perfect when he said, "Can you hear me?" It was beautiful. Aww. I told you, the devil's busy. I don't know. You must have got some real profound things to just put out there and to say, because you keep getting interrupted.
I know, right? You about to speak life into us and everybody out here watching.
Right. No, I think what you said is really profound about speaking life, and I think when it comes to and just like thinking about money in general and wealth in general, and even if it's not wealth, even if it's just like making sure that you have enough to be able to do the things that you want to do, depending on where you're at, in your walk with money, right, in your relationship with money. Speaking life is huge, and I think sometimes you may feel like you're off track when you look at people to your left and to your right who may be doing things differently, or they may be seeing growth over here, and maybe you're not seeing as much growth and things like that. And I think we all that we might not talk about it, but sometimes we deal with the fact that we may think that we should be farther along where we are. I know, as someone in their 30s, right, you may see that, and having had previous jobs, I know if I would have stayed in certain jobs that I would have been in certain positions by now, right? But I decided to change jobs, and so it created a space where I had to the detour created a little bit of a hiccup in my trajectory because I left one field and went to another. But I think the thing about that is when you begin to get focused, and you maintain focus really on what the prize is, and what it is that you want to do, and again, speaking life, and you're aligning yourself and putting yourself in situations, again, having conversations about money, having conversations about money management, listening to a podcast like this one, who's bringing on guests who are sharing that type of content. It begins to open your mind, and when your mind is open, you can receive more. When you receive more, you're not thinking so much about what's happening to your left or your right. You're thinking about the immediate, what's happening with you and what's happening with you now, and you're able to to do more and achieve more. So I don't know. I think when it comes to these types of conversations, I feel at this point I feel very encouraged. Right, I get excited, and I feel more so encouraged, by these conversations, because I feel like there is opportunity. And I think we have to look at all of these types of conversations, especially when it comes to money and wealth, as opportunities. So, yeah. So Derek's in the chat, he's saying agreeing. I'm gonna read it. Agreeing with you both. If you don't have anything nice or valuable to say, don't say it. Speaking life to oneself and others is life. And it's funny because documenting a plan and speaking things into existence. So I think what you're saying at that last part is that, right, as you're creating that plan, as you're creating your wealth management plan, your money management plan, you're literally putting that thing into motion. You're saying you're bringing it from, like, you're basically birthing a baby, saying like, hey, we're gonna bring this thing to life. And so I think that is. It's so interesting because we're talking so much in the natural, but we're talking about a lot of spiritual things too, and the connection. And I think that's another thing that, think about, like, there's this huge connection, no matter really what your beliefs are, there's this connection between, the natural and the spiritual, because a lot of it has to do with, are we operating in our purpose? If we're operating in our purpose, that means that things are attracted to us. If they're like, I don't think, and I'm Christian, so I believe in God, right? But if to me, God's not going to put me in a place and not fund me. He's not going to give me a purpose and not, and not make it flourish. Like, that doesn't even make sense, So yeah.
Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. It's like, come on, man. If if God could bless you, right, abundantly, then why won't He do it for me? You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here being a bad person. You know, at the end of the day, um, I love when people. I love when I see other people succeed. I love when I see other people bettering themselves and accomplishing goals and reaching success, whatever that means to them, and they're happy and they're joyful. That does something to me, man. It moves me. It's like, okay, what can I do to help you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want anything in return. I promise you, I don't. Just what can I do to help? I just want to see you continue to smile and win, because all that good energy is gonna come back to me. You know what I mean? I know it, and I know mine is on its way. Birds of a feather flock together, right? If you're successful, chances are I'm gonna be successful too. And to your point, Bridget, when you're operating in your purpose and you're just doing stuff because you love doing it, and don't get me wrong, you're smart about it, right? Like, you figured out a way to kind of make your purpose profitable, But when you're joyful and you're operating that purpose, you know what I mean, the money will come. I'm a firm believer in that, because you just become a magnet at the end of the day. You operate, you create opportunities, and you are joyful in doing it, and you become a magnet, and people want to be a part of what you got going on. So, and then to Derek's point, right? Derek said in the chat, there's enough for all of us to eat. So share love, knowledge, and celebration. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. If I help you succeed, I'm pretty sure you're gonna return the favor, and then we all gonna eat. It's a lot of money out here at the end of the day. Tyler Perry just became a billionaire.
He did.
I know some folk in the television and film industry in the Washington, D.C. area who can't stand Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Can't stand him.
Yeah.
Cannot stand him. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? This dude is out here doing it, man. You might not like his content, but chances are he ain't making for you anyway. He made it for his audience. He took his niche audience and he gave them exactly what they wanted over and over and over and over again until he built an empire, right? Mm-hmm. And now he's creating all kinds of opportunities for folks out here. You can't be mad at everybody has their own journey, right? Let them do their thing. People look at me, trying to stay on topic a little bit. I am one of those people who I only spend necessary money, right? I know how my mind works. There was a time when I needed like a different watch for every day of the week. I'm sorry, every day of the month. I literally had like 22 watches at my peak. I had like 22 different watches. I had a bunch of shoes, right? But shoes that I wore though. You know what I'm saying? Not an investment. Yours are different, Derek. Your shoes are investments, brother. So I understand that. I understand. You make money off his shoes.
Yeah, all the shoes.
Yeah. So Derek make money off his shoes. I'm talking about I was just wearing shoes just to wear them. Like I had a whole closet full, and they weren't cheap either. But as I got older and I started to realize kind of what was important to me, all that stuff just kind of went out the window, and that's why I mentioned in the episode, is that $300 Gucci belt really necessary? I get it. Sometimes you need to do things for yourself to make yourself feel good. You can't feel like you're working just to pay bills all the time, right?
They say it ain't tricking if you got it. That's what.
Yeah, right. But okay, so for me, my thing nowadays is, so it ain't tricking if you got it, but just because you got it don't mean you're supposed to be spending it on that.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, it's like certain things are, but I understand it to a certain extent, because for me, I hate driving. I do not like to drive, but I always find myself doing things that require me to drive a whole lot. So if I have to drive a whole lot, knowing that I hate driving, I need to be very comfortable while I'm driving. So yes, I drive a nice, comfortable car, but that's because I hate driving. You know what I mean? And everybody has that one little vice, right? So I understand that if you're going to spend money in certain places, but at the same time, I don't spend money on shoes anymore. Like same shoes I probably had for 3 or 4 years now. You know what I mean? And when people look at me like, yo, what's wrong with your shoes? I'd be like, nigga, what's right with my bank account? You know what I'm saying? So, oh, I can't say the N word. My bad. My bad. My bad. My bad.
I stand in solidarity with you as you use that word. Our word, use that word. How you like to use that word.
Right. I just slipped on. My bad. But so it's I get vices. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying don't enjoy your time on this planet. If you enjoy traveling, then travel. You know what I'm saying? But just do it responsibly and know kind of where like I would never buy a brand new car. I buy a used car, right? Because I'm not trying to invest that much money in something that's going to depreciate so quickly. So I'll buy a nice used car, but I'm not going to buy a nice brand new car unless I really just got chips to throw away. You know what I mean? I do want to get it. When I do get that Bentley or Rolls Royce, it's going to be brand new though. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't mad at you. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I've always driven new or newer cars. I had my own reason. Since we talk about cars, I had my own reasons for that. I'm single and I don't like things to break down. I want to make sure it can get fixed. All those things. And interestingly enough, I purchased a car that was a lot older, a lot cheaper, and a lot more economical than I have in the past. And it hurt. It hurt. It hurt, but I had goals. And the vehicle that I thought that I wanted in this current moment, it didn't fit and align with my money goals, right? My money management goals were a little bit different. And interestingly enough, it might have been pretty soon after that or right before that. I work remote. I work from home. I don't go anywhere. So if I have a beautiful car sitting outside, it's literally at this point sitting outside. And then with the Rona, it's really sitting outside. So, it ended up working out that the economical car is perfect. And so, some of my friends be rolling up in they real nice whips, and I be trucking along in my Chevy like, hey, so I think when it comes to money, money management, it's making sure that you're below your means, within your means, and also that you're not looking at everyone around you and thinking you have to keep up with the Joneses, the Smiths, the Jenkins, or whoever else. And again, I also don't think you should beat yourself up because on some levels, some of us, it happens. It's not a bad thing, but we do have to be able to check it, in order to reach and to attain our goals. And what from going back to strategy, what are the tools that you're using to do that? Do you have a financial advisor? Do you have your own spreadsheet? Do you use online tools? What are you using in order to kind of track and see what that looks like, and how far out are you planning? What does that look like? I know, the way that I do my, people do vision boards. So a lot of my girlfriends here will do like a vision board party, but I typically take my vision board and transition that into an Excel spreadsheet, because for me mentally, if I can't track it and turn it colors and add it up, and it doesn't work for me. Just it on a piece of paper don't work doesn't like just in a visual. Oh, this is pretty. That doesn't work for me. So, how are you visualizing and getting down on paper or in your documents? How does it look? How are you managing those things? This is something I know that I think about a lot and go back to a lot.
Man, I'm telling you, Bridget, I feel like we might be the same person, man. I love myself a good spreadsheet.
Me too.
I get a kick out of going into spreadsheets, creating formulas and making stuff automatic. So you change one thing and then everything else change accordingly. So I get a kick out of that kind of stuff. I guess that's the geek in me a little bit. But so listen, Derek said growth and maturity. It's amazing how what brings us to the wonderful space of investing in yourself. Wait, it's amazing. Oh, I'm trying to understand. Okay, here we go. Growth and maturity. It's amazing that things bring us to the wonderful space of investing in, yourself, time, energy, health, wealth, knowledge, associate circles, travel, etc. Look how we invested into this podcast. Minus Derek's spotty new Verizon services. Look, it's not your fault, man. Okay, it's Verizon and their bandwidth. Okay, it's all good. It's all good.
They owe you reparations. They owe you for this. I don't know what they owe you, but you let them know it's not okay. You got a message to give.
Right. I'm gonna need them to prorate those services. You know what I'm
They
saying?
do. It's foolishness.
It says you one of them $100 gift cards or something. You know, the ones that they give people when they first sign up for service. Oh, come on, man. Don't act like I'm the only person taking advantage of that.
Oh, actually, I've never received one. I don't know. Yeah, I've never received one, but I know that they do give them.
Man, I do everything. I do the free 1 year Hulu subscription, the free 1 year Netflix subscription, all of that. I need all of that. And I already had Netflix. They just gave me a year for free. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, kind. Hey, look, smart money management, right?
One of the things, as we were talking, that I have been thinking about, is the how, like, having conversations about money and pay, and how that can be kind of like taboo in our community. It's difficult to go to even a friend sometimes and start having conversations, about money without feeling, that you're maybe divulging or sharing too much. So I'm wondering kind of your thoughts on that. I know, more recently, some of my really great friends from college, and I can't share everything that we're doing yet because it's still in the works, but we recently incorporated, as a crew, and we've got some plans to do some things in that space. And I actually got the text message today that we're official. So it was like a crazy day. So we have our LLC, and we're beginning to move forward with some of our plans. But yeah, we've been great friends for a very long time, but have not talked to each other this openly around finances until this. And it just so happened that when we were in the space to do that, we were also ready to start making some business moves together. And I wonder if we would have been open to talking about that, would it have happened sooner?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes, wholeheartedly. And it goes back to what we spoke about. What I don't know which episode that was, which topic we were speaking on, but we got to be more open. What I find, I think it was in regards to coworkers, right? When coworkers are in the same space and we don't share what our salaries are, how can we ever really know if we're being underpaid or not, right? Because from HR, you're not supposed to talk. From HR, the messages don't talk about your salary, and that's because they don't want people quitting on them for realizing that they're underpaid. But I think the same goes for your friends and your circle, the people you hang out with. It's tough because people have what I call me syndrome, right? If it's not helping you, if you can't get anything out of it, you can't see it, then you don't want to help your friend out. And I feel like if people in general are more giving, right? In general, just as a philosophy, then it'll make a lot of those conversations a lot easier. It's a lot easy. It's easy for me to talk to, like, my guy Boo, if he's watching right now. I don't know if he is or not, but I mentioned before he's a fitness like guru, and he has his own like Green Hope smoothie brand. He's been hounding me. I was supposed to call him 2 days ago about some of the stuff that we're doing, and I forgot to call because I've had a ton of other meetings to go to. But he keeps, he's on me about it, and I appreciate that. Because he wants to invest in whatever I'm doing. I want to invest in whatever he's doing. We got to connect, and we're going to do that. But it takes having those conversations and being open about your finances, for people to actually get together. And I think it needs to happen a lot more often, because if I take my $500 and you add your $500, and we got a group of 10 people who's adding $500, all of a sudden we got $5,000. You know what I mean? And if we do that, 2-3 times a year, we got enough to buy a Subway franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
you know what I'm saying? So I feel like people just have to get over the fact that it's just money at the end of the day. We value money way too much. You know what I mean? We value money more than we value relationships. in one another when money can be made.
And I think we value money, but I think we also have is the pride part of it. Like it's
Yeah, that's true.
Pride is a part of it. We don't want to look bad in front of each other. We don't want to admit to each other that we don't know. We want to stunt in front. We want to, even if it's a subtle stunt, right? Maybe it's not all the way out there stunt. It was like slight stunt. We want to make sure that we look good and that we don't look like we don't know something. But the reality of it is we don't know something. I have friends that are much better at, money stuff than I am, but then I'm much better at money stuff than some of my other friends. So, when I think about it, being able to have those conversations has really opened up a whole different set of a whole different idea and being able to actually start to put into practice cooperative economics. Because let's be real, sometimes you can do it with your family and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can do it with your best friends and sometimes you can't. But hopefully somewhere in your network, there are people that you can operate with and have some type of collective economic impact with. And, not having those conversations or being nervous to have those conversations can definitely stifle that from happening. I wanted to, I know we have moved past the that part of the discussion, but I just wanted to shout out Candace, who was saying that she uses checklists regularly and just talking about that. She creates checklists for bills, extra principal payments. Shout out to you with your extra principal payments. Get them, girl. Goals, etc. Yes, all of that. Yes to all of that. I love that you put in there about extra principal payments, and I think the way to pay off things early. Sometimes we got to take out loans to do things, and that's okay, right? Because that's what they're there for. But making that thing work for you, using your checklist, adding extra payments to be able to work through that stuff. I think that's awesome. So thank you, Candace, for your comments, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. That's true though. Shoot, that snowball effect is real. And in terms of getting your own personal finances in order, I feel like that's the best way to give yourself a pay raise is just paying off debt and taking it one step at a time and celebrating small victories, man. You pay off a $500,000 credit card. Go ahead and buy yourself a bottle of $20 wine or something. You know what I mean? Celebrate and then get back to saving. You know what I mean? I think it's important to celebrate those small victories. And if you got a good circle around you, they'll help you do it. But they'll only know if you are open and honest, with your finances at the end of the day. And they're trying to encourage you. But pride is a real thing, man. Pride will get people in all kinds of trouble financially. Just not having so much pride that you're not willing to ask for help. One thing I can say about Derek, man, is throughout the years. So I told you I've jumped from job to job to job to job, getting different types of experience, under my belt, knowing what my ultimate goal was, right? But throughout the years, man, and Derek, I don't think I ever said this to you, man, but I appreciate the fact that every single time you always reached out and was like, yo, you good? You need help with anything? You all right? You know what I'm saying? You need anything? I got you. Consistent throughout the years since we graduated from college. That man has always checked in on me and made sure everything was all right. So, Derek, as a friend, you know what I'm saying? As a brother, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, bro. Because a lot of people don't do that. There's like literally blood that don't check in and say what's up. I mean, everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own reasons, different, things that they're doing in life and can't necessarily do it. And sometimes you're too close to somebody to be able to really check up on them like you should. And I've said it several times. Shoot, I said it at one of my family members' funerals. Like sometimes you got to love people from a distance, to love them like you're supposed to love them as a Christian. But because spending too much time together, you're just like oil and water. Regardless, I still love you though. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, just having somebody to kind of like a friend to check up on you and make sure everything is good. Like that's something that means a lot, bro. So, I really appreciate that. And those are the type of people I like to surround myself with. And Bridget, I know you're that type of person. So, I haven't, interacted with you for that long, but I already know, I can see, I have very good intuition. I can see you're dope.
Yeah, for the viewers, Kelvin and I have not met in person yet. We are a virtual family, I guess, at this point. And I guess it's definitely real because after we finish our lives and our other stuff, we stay on for another 30 an hour talking. I'm like, I'm tired.
Like a whole hour we on here talking after we just got to talking for hours. So
The conversations are so, I think, so good, and so like I leave. And I lead the conversations, and it's making me want to even do things differently. And one of the things I joked about with our guests for this particular podcast, like I'm coming with, a notepad and paper, and Jeff Granger was like, you should be coming with a notepad and paper. And I think that that was something very powerful to say, right? He was giving me the green light, basically. And that's another thing too. I'll speak to that in a minute, but he was giving me the green light to be able to be vulnerable and to, to take notes about even in something I'm hosting, right? Like, no, take notes, girl. If you get something that you need to write it down. Don't be too proud to be like, oh, I'm the host, I can't take a second and write something down to write, because he's like, I'm writing something down too. And I think the vulnerability, especially when it comes to money, and being stable, financially, sometimes we got to be a little bit vulnerable in order to see real change, like market change, like in our life when it comes to money. So I think what's exciting about folks being really interested about wanting to invest and about doing, things differently in their finances, because, I think there are some even people in entertainment who are speaking to those things differently as well, which is getting some of the younger folks also interested in it. But I think that also takes a space of, you have to be able to be vulnerable with someone. I don't know who that someone is, for you. And it might even just be yourself, right? But you got to be willing to be vulnerable and talk about the areas where you're doing really well, and talk about the areas where you're sucking, and, figure out how you're going to take that feedback, and do better. And I talked to a friend recently, and he invests a lot in the stock market. He has an amazing job at Microsoft, and he was like, we were talking about investments specifically, and he was like, sometimes when I'm thinking, I'm always like, is it too late? Right? Is it too late for me? And we're talking about specifically about the stock market, but I think it can be overlaid to other things. He said, I was like, it might be too late to invest in X, right? And he was like, but then, later, X had grown, there was growth there. And then I'm like, well, it might still be too late to invest in X, right? Like he kept going, like saying, well, maybe it's too late, maybe it's too late. And then by the time he could, or by the time he had the mindset to be able to do it, because he wasn't willing to take that step, he actually kind of had passed, the point of being able to do it. So I think in the moments where, in a space where you're at a space where you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to put into the work, you're willing to learn, if that time is now, begin to take those steps, because you're going to look up 5 years later and you're going to potentially be in the same place or very close to the same place where you were before, and you don't want that, right? We don't want that. So, what are the steps that we can take to be able to move the chain? Like, I want to move the chain. Yeah.
They say that time waits for no one, but everything's going to take time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those hurry up and wait situations. It's like, man, it's hard, but it's the truth though, man. What you said was definitely the truth. You got to be honest with yourself first and foremost. Before you keep it real with anybody else, you got to be honest with yourself. And that's easier said than done for a lot of folk when it comes to personal finance. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just want everybody to make smart decisions and be confident in their plan. So, make a plan first and foremost, but then be confident in the plan that they made, and be patient. You gotta put that plan in place and stick to it. And when you see other people who are winning, because you're so confident in yourself and what you're doing and the plan that you've made, all you can do is this: congratulate them on their success. You see somebody with a fancy car or something that you want, or living the life that you believe that you could have had you done things a little bit differently. Just do this. When you have a plan and you're confident and you know what you're doing financially, you can sit back and you can clap for them and be genuinely happy for people. You know what I'm saying? And know that you got it. You're on your way. Your plan is in place. Your purpose, your journey is your journey. Again, I wrote on the cover of my book, life. but it was about love. You know what I mean? It was, love's future may not be clear, but its strength lies in its journey to forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about a rose, and there was a rose on the cover. There's a lot of thorns on the stem of that rose, and then finally there's the head of the rose where everybody focuses. It smells good, it's pretty, but it was blurry because you don't really know what it's going to look like at the end. But all you know is right in front of you is this thorn. It's this obstacle that you got to get over. It's this credit card bill. You know what I'm saying? It's this student loan. You know what I mean? It's this car note. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta work through that and understand that, you got a bigger picture ahead. So take your time, trust in your plan, and when somebody else wins, congratulate them. You know what I mean? It's fine. You got your plan. You're good. Like, and be confident in what you're doing. And financially, you'll be just fine. Just stick to it. That's kind of my final thoughts on tonight, because I know we've been on for like an hour already. We usually aim for 30 minutes for the live conversation, but it says, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bridget.
No, go ahead, do Derek.
I was gonna say Derek's final thoughts. He says, life and money is a process. It's not overnight. Know yourself, do your research, accept qualified financial advice. Message. Plan properly for the short and long term. Share info, be accountable, and forgive yourself and restart. Love yourself and others. 100%, brother. I wish you could say it yourself, man.
I know. I love it. I feel like his final thoughts are my final thoughts.
Right.
I feel the exact same way. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to make mistakes. I, again, am proud of those who are, taking steps to do things more aggressively. Just make sure in the aggressiveness of, what you're trying to do to get more for yourself and your family and your community, that it's focused in the right areas, that you've, done your research, that you're talking to people, that you're not afraid to talk to people and to get feedback, and that you're just connecting. My hope for you is that you're connecting to the right people in this season. Because what I will say is that this is a season, I think, for Black people in general, with all the things that are happening, while they are really sad, I think there is some opportunity, through the sacrifice of, our brothers and sisters, that we will have access. I'm not saying we will have access to some things that we haven't had access to before. And so I think if we're postured, positioned, and mentally focused in the right areas, that we're going to be ready and willing to not only take it, but to create it, and to multiply it. So those are my final thoughts.
Nice. And I want to give a quick shout out to Candace. Candace, you've been rocking with us all night. We appreciate you, and trust me, I feel your pain on the student loans. Okay. And then also Andre Bartlett for commenting. See, I had to log on to I had to look at your feed there, because you get all the action on your feed. So, Andre, thanks for tuning in, man. And that's what our hope is. Our hope is for anybody who tunes in and watches this episode, any of our episodes, to just, just kind of learn something from it. And even if it's something that you already know, just let it serve as like a memory refresher. You know what I mean? And this also confirmation that there's people out here going through the same thing that you're going through, and we're all just out here trying to figure it out, at a time where nothing is really being handed to us, right? So the more knowledge and information we can share with one another, the more likely we are to stumble upon a solution that can help us all out. As Derek said, there's plenty of money out here for all of us, and whether it be from an entrepreneurial standpoint, or if you're the number 2 person, or the number 3 person, or the number 222 person, at the end of the day, you have the opportunity to support something that somebody in our community is doing, to better the culture at the end of the day, right? Better our financial future as a people, as a Black people in America. So just let it serve as a reminder. Come back, join the conversation, comment. We appreciate you guys. We love you. But we about to sign out, okay? Because we trying to go night too. All right. So thanks Derek for rocking with us. Thanks Bridget. We love you. Thanks to all the viewers out there. This is for all of us. Come back and join us again next Wednesday live at 9 p.m. We'll drop a new episode either on Monday or Tuesday of next week. All right. This has been another installment of By Any Means. And we
oh, by
all right, we out. Peace.